Good afternoon. Looks like a lot of happy faces. People are enjoying it. That's great. And so, welcome to this fourth annual welcome ceremony. This is for first-year incoming students. We have a beautiful day ordered for you, and it's perfect. So, hopefully, you'll enjoy being outdoors as well afterwards. First of all, I want to give a big shout-out to all the members of the Graduate Studies Office staff who have worked very hard to organize this. And so I'm going to just call out their names, and please, wherever you are, Graduate Studies Office staff, please wave, give a big smile. And so first of all, Deepthi, Lauren, where are you, Lauren? Okay, we'll move on and we'll come back to Lauren. Then Tony, there she is. Megan, Natalia, Lacey, Aliyah, there she is, great. Rachel, give a big smile, yeah, thank you. And Lauren, where's Lauren? She has been working very hard. She's still at the desk. There she is. Thank you, Lauren. Okay. So this is our largest incoming class. You'll be happy to know that. We have a class of 130 students this year, which is a big increase over the last year. And this includes 6 first-year MD PhD students who are joining the graduate school. And this number also includes, we have a few joint programs with arts and sciences and some with Carnegie Mellon, so this number includes that as well. And in addition, we have few students from Carnegie Mellon who, while they're not part of a joint program, but they're closely associated with the computational and systems biology program. So we welcome you all to this ceremony. So many of you, of course, are from Pennsylvania, but a majority of our students in this group are from other states of the US, as well as from many other countries. So we are, really represent a very large community. And I know that you have made the right choice to come to Pittsburgh. It's a great place to do cutting-edge research and in a very collaborative and supportive environment. And I don't think you will have any doubts over the next few years when you spend your time here, you'll find that this is a really great place to be. We are a major center for international research, and a majority of that kind of work is done by our graduate students, that's you. And so we really depend a lot on your research and your contributions to the science at the School of Medicine and Pitt in general, and as well as CMU. So give yourself a big round of applause. And just a couple of comments, and one is that I hope that you'll be willing to take risks and explore new ideas and new fields. And hopefully you'll make some exciting discoveries while you're doing mentored research at Pitt and at Carnegie Mellon. So in addition to enjoying your graduate school, I also would like you to enjoy city of Pittsburgh. It's a great city. I'm sure many of you have already explored it a little bit. It's a great place for music, arts, sports, Steelers, baseball, Penguins, and so on. So it's a great place. So I know you work very hard, but at the same time, try to enjoy the nature and all the other things that Pittsburgh has to offer. Also, I would hope that you'll get involved in leadership opportunities. For example, participate in the Biomedical Graduate Student Association that will help you get through the graduate school, and you'll have a chance to get some experience in leadership opportunities. And finally, I wish you all the best in your graduate school and beyond, and we hope to hear from you when you are here, obviously, but when you leave Pitt, we hope that you will spread the word that it's a great place to be, and that you are our best representative to the community, both in US as well as abroad. So thank you very much, and we'll get the real process started now. So first of all, I want to introduce Dr. Ananta Shekhar, who is the Dean of School of Medicine and Senior Vice Chancellor for Health Sciences. I want to thank him because he is a strong supporter of our graduate programs. He has been here for 4 years, and we have seen a big growth in the graduate student body here. He has provided a lot of resources, and I hope that he will continue to provide that in the future as well. No, really, he is really supportive, and also he is responsible for a big increase in the stipend that we did last year. So we give him really big round of applause for supporting graduate school and graduate students. So, Dr. Shekhar.
Thank you. Wow, that's a great, great starting point, right? Yeah. I gave you all a raise, and I increased the number of slots, so you can't complain about me. But I think you know, again, it's wonderful to see all of you here, and also, first of all, congratulations for getting admitted into one of our PhD programs. This is an elite school, and both Pitt and CMU are incredibly accomplished in their science. And each of your mentors are incredibly accomplished scientists that you'll find out. And these programs are really some of the best in the country. How do I know that? Well, because the mentors that you'll be working with are some of the best scientists in the country. And you may say, how do I know that? Well, because we are the number 5 in terms of competitive NIH funding in the country. So all of your mentors have competed with every medical school, every academic center, every university across the US, and won those awards because their science is so good. And that's what you will see, is that our science is as good or better than 99% of the medical schools. We have, in the last 25 years, Pitt Medical School has been 5th in NIH funding for the last 25 years. So this is a tradition of excellence here. There's only one Ivy League that's done better than us. That happens to be in this state. All that to say that you are entering a very high-class, very demanding, and intellectually rigorous place, which I think is what you all wanted to do, right? None of you came here to party. Although, as Salim says, as Dr. Khan says, you should party too, right? But I think, the key here for you is to really take advantage of this incredible depth and breadth of science, explore many different labs, and then be purpose-driven. Because some of you will cure a disease. Some of you will make groundbreaking discoveries. Almost all of you will publish in very high impact journals. Almost all of you will be coveted as postdocs and then eventually as faculty. So you, I think, are the future of biomedical research. You are the future of Pitt Med and Pitt and CMU reputation. And you're our hope for great science and great cures for all sorts of diseases that currently have no treatments. So, welcome to Pitt Med, welcome to Pitt, welcome to CMU, wherever your home is. But most importantly, welcome to great science. And good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shekhar. The next presentation is by Dr. Rhonda White, and she will tell us about building an inclusive community.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. I am actually standing in for Dr. Chinitz Pettigrew. He's the Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We represent that office at the School of Medicine, and so from our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team, I want to welcome all of you. I didn't really know that there was this many students who were being welcomed into the PhD program, so it's really wonderful to see all of your faces and to see how this program is growing. I have a slide presentation. Okay, and so I'm here again to talk to you about building an inclusive community, and we wanted to discuss how valuing inclusivity is important to our environment. And so an inclusive community is one where all individuals, regardless of their background and identity or status, are welcome. And it's important that we really get to know what DEI stands for. And so diversity that's not limited to race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, or even social status. And then equity, which addresses disparities and providing the support needed to achieve equality. And then inclusivity, that actively involving and valuing all members of the community in discussion, making processes and activities and opportunities. So really we're trying to create a village, a family, of being inclusive at our institution, and it's important that we do so to promote equity and fairness, as well as enhancing collaboration and innovation. Diverse perspectives lead to a more creative solutions and innovations, and an inclusive community encourages the exchange of different ideas, which can drive process and problem solving. The importance of an inclusive community also builds stronger relationships. So we build relationships both internally and externally among those who work alongside of us, our UPMC partners as well. It increases engagement and participation and reflects social responsibility. It also improves well-being. Inclusive environments contribute to the mental and emotional well-being of individuals by providing a sense of belonging and support. And so one of the examples of how we manage to bring all of these points together is through very key principles for inclusivity and diversity. And so I won't read all of these to you, but I'll just point out just a few notes that are here. Representation, and inclusivity in practice, cultural competency, safe and supportive environments. And so all of those and the other points that are listed here are really very important. One of the examples that I can give in terms of a successful inclusive community is a Reach and Cultural Fest that we hosted at the beginning of the academic year, which was actually several weeks ago. Cultural Fest brings together all of our students within the medical school. It allows them to, from first year to fourth year medical students and others who decide to attend the event, to demonstrate their culture. They wear their culture attire. We have food that's represented there. A lot of food is at the Culture Fest. There are booths with various activities for students just to open dialogue and conversations about what it means to them to be a part of this type of community. And so Culture Fest has been an amazing success at our institution. There are photos that you can see there. We were very fortunate this year that there was no rain, because as you can see, it was an outdoor event, and it had threatened to rain the entire day, but it did not rain this day, and so we were really grateful of that. And so there are various ways that students can also contribute to building an inclusive community. And so some of the ways that we can do that is by educating yourselves and others, and just learning about the difference, diversity and inclusion. Students can take initiative by listening and raising awareness. Practice active listening against challenging biases and stereotypes. Support and include others, and practice or organize inclusive events. And so the photos that you see here are from students from grades 1 through 4, or from years 1 through 4 in a medical school that help one of the programs that I support, that I manage for high school students. And so we work with our community to introduce various health professions within our institutions. There are 6 health professions at this institution on our campus. So Dean Shaker has a large job overseeing all 6 health science schools here. And these students are teaching high schoolers within our community suturing. So students, high school students love to do suturing, just learning that practice. And so one of the ways, again, that we build our community is to not only work within our own internal communities, but also help those outside of our community. And then we can advocate for inclusive policies, promote accessibility, create against and support safe spaces, which is really very important, as well as being an ally and leading by example, and encouraging others to do so as well. And so our office also provides existing programs and initiatives that promote inclusivity. We have alumni speakers that come and speak to our students, various student groups. If our affinity groups, we have 10 affinity groups that are managed through our office, as well as Culture Fest that I mentioned. Our DEI Connect. As in a diversity, equity, and inclusion office, we are not just a diversity office for a certain group of individuals. We're talking inclusivity. And so we are inclusive to all students within the medical school, including this group that's represented here today. Our doors are always open. You're always welcome to stop in, to speak to us, and to see us for whatever it is that you may need. We're available to you as well. And so our DEI Connect is also established to help students to connect with faculty and other individuals who are associated with our school. There are various groups outside of Pitt that also ask for our students to help them in their initiatives as well. The Graduate Studies program, obviously, that's representing hosting this program today, and our Health Sciences Diversity Office. That office is also located in Scaife Hall. The Associate Vice Chancellor for the Health Sciences is Carl Larson. He's on the same floor as Graduate Studies, and his office is located on that same floor. He also helped to manage diversity within each school of the health sciences, their initiatives. And so that Health Science Diversity Office exists as well. We host real talk conversations, and so within our office, there are times when we host very intimate and critical conversations that our students are needing to know how to manage life, work balance, and the work that you're doing as scientists and future clinicians. And then Toast to Diversity. So Toast to Diversity brings together all of the medical students, graduate students, fellows, residents into one space to celebrate diversity as a collective group. And so that event is coming up fairly soon. And so as I mentioned, the us and we, I'm referring to our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion team, which again is Chinitz Pettigrew, who's the Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the School of Medicine. Myself, Rhonda White, and Anna Elias, who also is a part of our team and our affinity groups. And so if anyone, again, would visit the 5th floor, we are housed in between Office of Medical Education, our admissions office is on the 5th floor, as well as the Associate Vice Dean's office. And so welcome again to your program, and I wish all of you the very best.
Thank you, Rhonda. I'm sure that most of you are either in the process of finding your first mentor for rotation, or some of you have already found it. So our next talk is by Dr. Sarah Gaffin. She's professor in rheumatology and clinical immunology, and she will tell you a little bit about that. Sarah.
All right. Is someone else putting the slides up here? One more. Oh, there we go. Great. All right. Welcome, you guys. How you feeling? Quiet. You're allowed to laugh at any lame jokes I make, just so you know. I've been a professor here for 16 years. I've graduated 15 students in my lab. I was on admissions. I'd like to think I know something about mentorship, but we'll see. Ultimately, if you take nothing else from this talk, this is a gut decision in the end. Trust your instincts. If a place feels good for you, you should go there, and if it doesn't, don't. Okay. So you can go to sleep now. Great. All right. So there we go. So there's a lot to think about. I mean, you could argue this is the most important decision you will make in graduate school, is who do you work for? Not to scare you, but to scare you. And so it's got to fit a lot of things, but there's no perfect fit. So some things to think about. And I'll kind of go through them a little bit. Take my advice as you would anyone's advice. Use what's good, ignore what isn't. So obviously, you came to Pitt for a reason, and quite likely it's because there are people who do research you're interested in. When I'm advising undergrads, I always tell them, make sure there's at least 6 labs that you could really imagine working in, because chances are, one's not taking students, one's mean, one leaves. So obviously the research topic has got to grab you. It's got to fit your long-term goals. You may not know really what those are, but you probably have some at least intuitive sense. The lab environment needs to suit you. The quality of the science needs to be high to do your next position, whatever that is, whether it's academia or something else. You have to do good work, and that's what we are here to train you for. And of course, ultimately, it's got to be a comfortable fit. So what makes a comfortable fit? I think to say that a lot of what I'm going to say is kind of blindingly obvious, really. You want to work with somebody who's passionate and excited about what they do and translates that to you. But I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody here who's not passionate about what they're doing. But that you may respond to that differently. You want to have someone who's going to actively mentor you at the level that is appropriate for you, and that's different for different people. So ideally, you have someone who can sort of adapt to suit the trainee and the trainee's needs. You want someone who's able to help you solve problems. Fundamentally, that's our job. We're not at the bench anymore, usually. We need to help you troubleshoot, solve problems for your research and for everything else that's going on in your training. You'd like to have somebody who kind of enjoys doing this, which again, I think most of us are in academia for exactly that reason, not just the science, but we love the mentorship aspect as well. But again, that has to translate to you. You want someone who's respectful and fair. You don't want to go to a lab that plays favorites, but also fair to their peers, to their competitors, to people in the field. And ultimately someone who's willing to listen to you, because you're going to have some rough times in the next N years as you do your PhD. Okay, so how do you do that? So science, obviously, and things that I'm sure all of you have already done, is to kind of research the people whose labs you're interested in, reading the scientific literature, and trying to place that lab in it. Is this lab doing quality science? And a corollary of that is, do they have the support financially and otherwise to let you do the research that you're going to do? Paper quality is not just the quote-unquote impact factor of a journal. I hate that term. That's my hill and I'm going to die on it. Do not ever look up impact factors. Okay, I'll shut up now. But are the lab's recent papers being authored by people who are in the labs, right? You don't want to go to a lab where there's they had a paper in science, but everybody who's on that paper has been gone for 8 years. So keep an eye out for that. Is everyone in the lab publishing? So, a lab that's publishing science, Nature, Cell, You know, is that a lab where everybody's doing that, or are there some half the lab not publishing anything? How are authorships determined? How are trainees getting credit for what they do? Are trainees getting their own grants? All of these sorts of things that speak to the quality of the science and the quality of experience you are likely to experience in that lab are things to be thinking about. What's the track record? Now, if you go to a young lab, they may not have a lot of track record, and that's totally fine. But you want to try and suss out what it's like to be in that lab by speaking to people who are currently there, maybe people who've left, other labs around. You know, do your due diligence. Gossip is your friend. Trying to get a sense were former students successful. Again, a new lab won't have a lot of former students, and that's totally fine. But a lab that has them, you know, where are they? Are they all in one place? Did anybody quit? That's not necessarily a red flag, but if a lot of people have quit, trying to figure out why that is and might that situation apply to you is something to keep an eye out for. Ask about the positives and also ask about the negatives, which can be tricky. You know, how do you do that without seeming like, you know, you're being a jerk? So in purple, I just put, the question to ask is, if you could change one thing, what would it be? And if people ask me that about Pittsburgh, I say, we need a hub airport. Which means I really like Pittsburgh in pretty much every other aspect. And finally, don't rely on just one person. Every lab has a couple of disgruntled people who are there or were there, and you know, that doesn't mean that's not the place for you. Kind of part of all of this is the PI style. Everyone's style is different, every person is different, and what works for you may not work for someone else. New PI versus experienced PIs, small versus large, how hands-on is the PI? Are they there all the time? A senior person might be on the road a lot and not have quite as much time for you, but that might be okay because you might be somebody who wants to be, you know, not having your PI sitting there working at the bench next to you. What's their feedback style? And does it work for you? Are they very blunt? That would be me. Are they maybe a little oblique and you prefer that? Or maybe you don't like that because you don't quite know what they're saying. How do they manage disputes? How casual is the lab or how formal? Is the lab very social with each other, with other labs? And again, what do you want out of that experience? And what is the time and work ethic? PhD's a long slog. It requires a lot of work, but every lab has a culture. Okay, so rotations. Make the most of them. It's stressful in a way because you're moving around and each time you're starting new, it's in the lab, what they're doing, the literature, ask everybody in the lab what they're working on, learn about the labs that this rotation collaborates with. Who are they working with? Maybe that would open up a rotation opportunity you hadn't thought about. Perhaps, for example, with a new PI you didn't even realize was here. When you're in your rotation, try to get face time with the mentor. You need to get to know them and see how comfortable you are. And particularly if they're senior and busy and traveling. It doesn't mean they're not a good mentor for you. It just means that you might have to be a bit more proactive. Ask questions, scientific. I judge students by the questions they ask. Don't fake it till you make it. If you don't know something, you need to know that. Maybe if it's something simple, you can go on the side and look it up and then put it in context, but don't be afraid to learn as much as you can. And I said in the beginning, and I'll say it again, in the end, this is a gut decision. It's got to, the lab's got to fit for you. And I always tell students, if something doesn't feel right, even if you can't put your finger on what it is, and everybody else says that's a perfect lab, then it isn't perfect for you. You don't have to actually know why. Don't go there. And conversely, if a lab feels right, even though it's a different thing you thought you would do, and maybe even somebody is telling you not to, but if you feel right there, it'll work for you. And then, I know it feels like a long time, but really soon, this will be you guys. So these are some of my my students, including a most recent PI graduate, Tiffany Taylor, and then a puppet of myself that a friend of mine gave me. So it's going to be fun. Enjoy. I think that's my last slide.
Thank you, Sarah. Our next presentation is by Dr. John Beckel. He's an alumnus of our pharmacology program, and he's going to make a few remarks, and then he will get the process started of what you have been waiting for with all that fancy jackets that you have in your lab. So, John.
Thanks. All righty. So, yes, I am here as an alumnus to give you your coats, but Dr. Khan asked me to say a few words beforehand about my academic journey, and because I am a professor at heart, and it's my job, I'm also going to give you a little advice about these upcoming few years. Okay? So the first thing we'll show you here is me. I am Jonathan Beckel. I am an associate professor of pharmacology and chemical biology, as well as the vice chair of medical education in that department, and the associate director of the molecular pharmacology graduate program. A lot of titles for what I do, but I am a researcher in the lower urinary tract, which not a lot of people study, but actually Pittsburgh is one of the finest places to study that here in the United States. So you learned something today. My journey. You can see, I tried to find a picture of me graduating as a PhD, but then I realized I didn't actually walk across the stage when I got my PhD. I was already in my postdoc. But here's a picture of me graduating from my bachelor's degree. I did it here at the University of Pittsburgh, too. I have spent most of my career here at the University of Pittsburgh. I got my BS in molecular biology and biochemistry in 1998 here at the Dietrich School. Actually, at that time, it was the College of Arts and Sciences, not the School of Arts and Sciences. And then, I shouldn't admit this with the dean sitting next to me because I'm not tenured yet, and he has to approve that at some point or another. But I was not a very good student in a bachelor. In my bachelor degree. I graduated with a 3.0 grade point average. But I wanted to do something other than go into graduate school. I did not have any plans to go to graduate school. But I did have a degree in molecular biology, so I wanted to find a job. And after a few months of searching, some really tough months of searching for a job, I fell in with a lab here in the Department of Pharmacology, which would become my home for pretty much the rest of my career. I became the laboratory manager for Dr. William DeGroat, Chet DeGroat, who is a emeritus professor here at the university, although he retired a couple years ago. And he introduced me to the world of the lower urinary tract, which I had absolutely no clue about before. But I stayed there for about 4 years, and it became obvious over those 4 years that maybe I was actually pretty good at research. Maybe not so much the classwork, but working in the lab was really good. And he suggested to me that I should go back to graduate school. And I applied. I only applied here at Pitt. And I got accepted into the interdisciplinary program here in 2003. And here are these lab rotations that I did. And, it doesn't. Okay. The names didn't show up, but I started with Jerry Apodaca there in the upper left, working on the claudins and tight junctions in the urinary bladder. I moved on to John Horn, who was the associate dean for graduate work before Dr. Khan, and we looked at nitric oxide signaling in frog sympathetic neurons, where I learned that I did not want to work with frogs ever. My office was in the frog room. He kept the frogs in his own lab, and sitting in a room full of 30 frogs during mating season, not conducive to doing any work. So I decided I wasn't going to work in frogs. And so then I did my final rotation with Dr. Laurie Berter and Dr. Tony Kanai in medicine. They were actually, Dr. Berter was actually the last graduate student of Dr. DeGroat. And I had actually gone to Dr. DeGroat and said, could I please be a graduate student in your lab? And he said, no, I'm going to retire. 20 years later, he did. So So I went to Dr. Berger's lab. After doing lab rotation there, I joined her lab, and here's my thesis, the expression and function of nicotinic receptors in the urothelium. You can see there's the picture of me up in the right-hand corner. So, you can still find me sitting at my desk with my feet propped up like that. I don't wear shorts that often. Well, actually, I do. But okay, well, but this is the kind of student I was. After graduation, I moved on. I was really excited. I had gotten a postdoctoral position in the University of Groningen in the Netherlands, which turned out to be the worst career move I've ever made in my life. The Netherlands is a great place to live, not a great place to work. Between the months of May and September, there was not a full work week when I was there. And actually, because my work was in the midbrain periapital gray in doing research in cats, we spent most of our time dodging animal protesters, and I would get approximately a dozen death threats in my email every day. So after a year, I decided that was probably not a great fit for me. I met a woman by the name of Claire Mitchell at the University of Pennsylvania when I came back for the neuroscience meeting, and she said, "Hey, I read your work on ATP release in the bladder. I work in ATP release in the eye. They're both round, and they both, when they both expand, they release ATP. So why don't you come work in my lab?" And I said, "Oh, thank God, yeah, sure." So that's how I became a postdoc at the University of Pennsylvania, studying. I was a bladder physiologist studying the eye in the dental school because that's where she got tenure. So it was kind of strange. I told you this was going to be a strange journey, right? And after about 3 years working there, sequestration happened. I don't know, the older people here probably know what sequestration was, but a lot of funding for the NIH was cut, so my position was cut. She said, Dr. Mitchell said, you're the greatest worker I've had, but I can't keep a bladder physiologist on the payroll. So I had to leave. And there was a time when I thought this was going to be the end of my career. I had actually taken the civil service exam to become a forensic scientist for the Westmoreland in Westmoreland County, and actually, passed that and was getting an interview when I stopped in to see my old mentor Chet DeGroat there on the bottom left-hand corner there. And I said, I think this is going to be it. He goes, actually, it doesn't have to be. I just got an email this morning that says that a T32 spot had opened up. Somebody had dropped out in the last minute, and they need somebody to fill it right away. If we can figure out a project. It was in the anesthesiology department. It was working on pain. So as long as I could write my project to talk about bladder pain, really easy actually, I could come in back as a postdoc. And so once again, he saved me from ending my career. And so I came back and then worked my way up from getting a K01 award and becoming a faculty member here, and then eventually taking over Dr. DeGroat's lab when he retired a couple years ago, and now an associate professor. I just list a couple of projects there. We won't go through them, but there's just a lot of projects going through. But I also have, this is my family. These are the students that I've trained since I became a faculty member. And the most important one there on the picture is my son. We were talking about how important it is to pick a mentor. Dr. DeGroat is probably one of the best mentors ever, and that's shown by the fact that my son's middle name was named after him. So, I've actually been trying to tell him that maybe he shouldn't be a scientist because this is a stressful job, but we'll see. We'll see how he goes. Maybe he'll be a doctor instead. Yeah. Okay, so now for the unsolicited advice that I can give you as the guru up here sitting on the mountain. I'm going to skip the next slide because it was about how to pick a mentor, and you've already got a wonderful talk about that. But how about how do I make the most out of graduate school? And here's a picture of Josh Lorenz, who was actually a graduate student of our molecular pharmacology program director, Dr. Tia Jacob. And my first advice is to persevere. You might have heard this, or maybe you haven't. Most of your experiments won't work. Your animal model will die, your cells will get contaminated, your Western blot will turn out blank for some reason or another. The code that you're writing for your computational biology students will not work. You'll hit the compile button and something will go wrong. There will be times, and a lot of it, over these next 4 or 5 years that you're here, where nothing will work. persevere, analyze what happened, adapt, adjust. Maybe it's, maybe you used the wrong antibody. Maybe the student made the wrong, buffer or solution. Maybe your hypothesis is wrong. Maybe, and adjust to that. Many of the papers that I have come out of something where I thought it was going to go one way, and it actually surprisingly went the other way. And those were the most interesting papers. But, and each one of these things has a but know when to move on. Okay, don't spin your wheels. You can't spend the next 3 years working on a project that isn't going to work, or a set of experiments. Try to figure out another way to be able to show that same thing, another set of experiments that, maybe doesn't have the same type of problems. All right? Go the extra mile. So here is a quote that was on my high school, the wall in my high school as we walked in. Oh, it's actually kind of hard to see up there, but it says, "Much good work is lost for the lack of a little more." And to a 16-year-old boy, no idea what that meant. But as I get older and older and older, I realize how important that quote is. It's from Edward Harriman, who was a railroad magnate. Much good work is lost for the lack of a little more. It means that, the difference between an okay project or an okay paper and an excellent paper, the Nature paper, is sometimes only one experiment. I review a lot of papers where I think at the end, boy, this would be so much more significant if they'd just done this one little experiment. So going that extra mile can be the difference between succeeding and excelling, okay? But, and there's the other but, sometimes, okay, it's just fine. It's fine, okay? You don't need to get into every paper, doesn't need to be a Nature paper. Everything doesn't, you don't have to be the first in the class of everything, right? Excelling is great, but sometimes that pressure is a little bit too much. So it's okay to just, be okay. Seek support. This is, I think, is one of the most things. When I was a graduate student here, we had I still talk to some of the people who were in my interdisciplinary, the people who took foundations with me. We still call up each other and say, boy, how hard is it to get a grant? Boy, the students in this generation, don't they listen? I'm kidding. But you are here with a group of students who are all going to go through the same things you are. So getting support with each other is really a key to being able to succeed. But I'd really suggest that you guys find things to do, as Dr. Kahn was saying, outside of here. Get friends that are outside of the program. I'll tell you, you get 2 biomedical science graduate students together, the only thing they can talk about are their projects. You know what I mean? So, get friends outside. Have activities. Mine was actually the Dart League at Gene's Place Bar on Louisa Street. He's actually giving me money to put his name in there, but no. It's something to do. It was something to do, and after a week of failed experiments, throwing a dart at a board was cathartic as well, okay? So sports, anything you can do. To get outside of the lab every once in a while. You can't live in the lab. And organize and plan. At the beginning of every week, I write a to-do list, and it has long-term goals and short-term goals. Long-term goals might be publish a paper, and it could be months down the road. Rewrite the medical school curriculum for pharmacology. That's, actually coming up. I have to finish that this month. But then the short-term goals that are a part of that. The paper might be the long-term goal, but what experiment am I going to do this week to reach that goal? This is also kind of important when you're thinking about your career, and we're going to actually get into that in a second, career. But planning is great, organizing is great, and sticking to the plan, but don't be afraid to hop on an opportunity if it pops up, okay? If something comes that's not a part of the plan, it's not necessarily bad, okay? What about life after graduate school? I also have the pleasure of teaching the Responsible Conduct and Research class that I think almost all of you will take in the summer. And we'll talk about this graduate school as well as mentors in that class. But I want to tell you right now that it's never too early to start thinking about life after graduate school. You're like, oh boy, I've got 5 years here. It's best if you don't rest on your laurels quite yet, okay? What can you do? Well, network. You can talk to anybody and everybody. that you go to. At some point, you're going to get enough research to go to a meeting, talk to everybody there as well. Talk to faculty members here, other students, postdocs as well. Form a career mentorship team. This is what we actually require you to do in pharmacology. Outside of your thesis committee, we have you get 3 people who could mentor you in the career that you're thinking about, or careers that you might be thinking about doing. All right, contact the alumni. Deepti, it has a nice list of alumni from the group, myself included. Actually, I think it only goes back 10 years, so I'm not quite. I don't think I'm there yet, or on that list. But reach out to alumni from your lab, who might be doing something you do. Alumni from other labs or other programs is a great way to learn about the things. And you can see over here, these are the careers that you could go. You can do all sorts of stuff with this. You don't have to go into academia. PhD Career Guide is a great place to go to learn about what these careers are. All these things that are listed. What's involved in academic administration? What's involved in foundation work or grant administration? Those kind of things. And then the two places at Pitt that you can go are the Office of Academic Career Development, the OACD, as well as the Graduate Studies Office here with Deepti. These 2 websites have great resources for being able to determine what career you might want, and the resources on trying to figure out how to do that. So with that, I'm going to say good luck. I think you guys will all have very successful careers. And of course, if you ever have any questions about life as a graduate student, feel free to grab me in the hallway, okay? Now, we're going to do the jacket ceremony now. I have some instructions. The instructions here are that when we're going to call out your names in groups of 12, you're going to come up and stand in front of the stage. Don't stand on you only go on the stage after you graduate, okay? So stand in front of the stage, and the program directors, who I'll announce here, and then are going to, you can stand in front of them, and each one of them, there are 12 of them, and they can then give you bring your jacket up, make sure you bring your jacket up, hand it to one of the program directors, and they will place the jacket on you after all 12 of you are standing up there. So these program directors, we're going to say, we're starting off with Francisco Schofer, as well as Jerry Hammond from so Francisco Schofer is representing biomedical informatics. Jerry Hammond is here for cell biology and molecular physiology. Dr. Wendy Mars is for cellular and molecular pathology. Dr. Galen Switzer is the clinical and translational science. Dr. James Fader is computational biology. Michael Zhang is the integrative systems and biology representative. Dr. Xandria Ambrose is here from microbiology and immunology. Dr. Ariko Ishima is the molecular biophysics and structural biology representative. Dr. Arjuman Ghazi for molecular genetics and developmental biology. Dr. Tiab Jacob for molecular pharmacology. Dr. Robert Turner for the Center for Neuroscience. And Dr. Chris Backus and Catherine Aird for the cancer biology and oncology. And so if they could stand up here on the stage in a row, while I'm going to butcher some names here, when they actually gave me the phonetic pronunciation for some of them, I'm still going to get them wrong. So I apologize ahead of time. But if the program directors could stand up here on the stage in a line, and then when I call your name, the first 12, just come up and stand in front of the stage in front of those people, and give them your jacket. Okay, so for the first 12 is Farida Abu-Juam, Dennis Aldia, Ellen Anas, Jude Barudi, Sanja Basak, Fox Baudelaire, Jeremy Benjamin, Mariah Berchulski, Reese Budenich, Allison Cafarata, oh, you knew I was going to get this one. Okay. Aruma Khan, Cameron Kaysen. Those are our first 12. Okay. Everybody. Okay, congratulations. Now you guys sit and I'll get 12 more. Oh, we're going to take a picture of them all? Okay, yes. Okay, squeeze together, we'll take a picture and then we'll... Oh, okay, yeah. So. Oh. Okay, now you guys can be seated and we'll get the next 12 up here. Okay. I didn't do too bad on that first one. Let's see how we do on the second round. Okay, the second group is Alexander Cermak, Macy Chambers, Jackie Chen, Rachel Kovitz, Ariana Creech, Joshua Cuozo, Eliza Dallo, Yorlane De Jesus Ramirez, James DeMarsh, Joseph Figura, Sophie Fischler, and Matthew Flores. Oh, we're one short here, but it's okay. Okay. Okay, we were one short on that one, so if that's an extra large, I'll take that one, okay? No, I'm kidding. All right, so. We didn't have nice jackets when I was a graduate student, so this is good. Okay. Anyway, the third group is Hannah White, Peter Gergis, Camilla Kafari, Payal Ghosh, Elizabeth Gilfeather, AJ Gilsrud, Lauren Grove, Rohan Harolikar, Shannon Heinig, Hannah Henry, Alexis Hill, and Thomas Hintelman. I'm not sure why there was a W in there. Got out of alphabetical order, but hopefully that didn't screw everybody up. By the way, if I really terribly do your name at the reception afterwards, come up and introduce yourself and tell me how to pronounce it. So. All right, the next group would be Jeannie Ho, Alexandra Houston, Nilufar Jafari, Blake Jackson, Ishrita Yag, Elisa Jurgens, Tanya Karmakar, Tori Kefauver, Saroja Kada, Hannah Khan, Gargikar, and Semi Kim. Okay, for our next group, we have Kayla Kimball, Emily Kinney, Akash Kishore, Dimitro Klikchik, Laura Sincas, sorry. Achujuan Kutova, Kai Lang, Madeline Lobsher, Haimin Lee, Chanzu Liang, Kyla N. Liu, and Aditi Lohar, or Lohar. Sorry, I think the AI got some of these pronunciations wrong. Sorry, guys. Okay, how about Gaokong Liu, Emily Madigan, Malaika Mahmood, Matthew Meyer, Aidan Matunis, Lauren McDonald, Gannon McDonough, Nora Miller, Mazen Mohammed, Niha Mokasi, Kylie Monet, or Moan, I don't know, Monet, and Kaylee Montanari. Okay, how about Joshua Montano, Alexandra Mullen, Sydney Murphy, Garhuthmajan Nadaraju, sorry, Sina Nafra Zehdun, again? I'm telling you, I think the AI got some of these wrong. Sorry, Austin Neal, Aaron O'Neill, Sita Aldel, Christina Perivashkakovova, Tufam, Caitlin Prusser, and Yiming Kin. All right, Jennifer Rakowski, Pururav Ramakrishna, Haley Ramirez, Andrew Rechtenwald, Andrew Rickens, Anna Rios Sigler, Alex Roberts, Madeline Ross, Peyun Sang, Raleigh Saka, Brooke Schatz, and Joe Cinderla. Wait. Still got pictures. Brent Schlegel, Sena Melik, Madeline Shackley, Sanjat Sonoy, Grace Shepard, Kelsey Shimoda, Kavisha Silva, Haseen Tamase B. Decorde, Bhavani Taramangalam, Shristi Tiwari, Sarah Tobiah, and Nishta Trivedi. Okay, Ivan Valeshnev, I'm sorry, Alex Van Helen, Samuel Vasquez, Komale Vikuntam, Andrew Whedon, Hannah White, Jennifer Yan, Hui Kong Yi, Jason Young, Kyle Yunska, Dakota Zuelka, Zuelka, and Ali Hosseini. One more.
Announce that if somebody has not gotten, then they can come.
Okay. Okay, last one. And then if I don't call your name, and you know you got one because you're not on this list or whatever, come up with this one too. So, Sina Barazande, Sam Chen, Gun Kenyar, Terry Ma, Seyun Moon, Aiden Zhang, Megan Arnold, Alyssa Bardi, Colton Smith, and handwritten in here is Ramita Hirachi? Sorry. This is all being recorded, so I'm going to get a lot of emails from your parents. I know it. All right, so. Yes, anybody else who hasn't received, that wasn't called up here for some, like clerical reason, please come on up with. Okay. All right.
Okay, well, let's give a big round of applause to everybody now. Now you are officially a first-year graduate student. Now the clock begins right now. Okay, don't run away yet. Okay, so now I'm going to call Dana Julian. She's a current graduate student and president of the Biomedical Graduate Student Association, and she's going to administer you a scientist's oath. Dana.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Khan. It's great to see you all here today. I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you during interview weekends and orientation, and I can confidently say that you've really blown me away with your passion for science and inquiry, and I'm already your biggest fan. I'm so excited to see everything that you'll do here at Pitt. Pitt has so many accolades for our research community, as Dr. Shekar had mentioned, such as being a top recipient of NIH funding, housing world-class departments, and leading the way in translational research. But in my eyes, this is only the tip of the iceberg. I've been a part of Pitt's research community since I was an undergraduate, and to me, the brilliance comes from our collaborative, welcoming, and passionate scientists. And now you are all integral members of that community. The BGSA is committed to standing by you as you grow as scientists, both inside and outside of the lab. The strength of the BGSA comes from the top down, starting with Dr. Dean Shaker, Dr. Celine Calm, and the entire Graduate Studies Office, led by Dr. Deepti Ramados, and then, of course, all of the BGSA officers. They have made my job worthwhile, and that's why I ran for the position of BGSA president. I'm not only a figurehead, but I actually can make a positive impact in my community. And I encourage you to all carry a similar spirit as you embark on your graduate school adventure, holding true that you can make a positive impact in your field, your lab, and your community. You have the capability. You wouldn't be chosen by the admissions committee if you didn't. And I also encourage you to make the most you can out of your graduate years. We're being paid to learn and be curious, which is so amazing to me. So I encourage you to learn and ask as many questions as you can. With that, I will read the oath. So if you will all stand and open up to the last page of the pamphlet and repeat after me. As I embark on my career as a scientist, I willingly pledge that I will practice and support a scientific process that is based on logic, intellectual rigor, personal integrity, and an uncompromising respect for truth. I will perform my professional activities and interactions with scientific integrity and respect for the field and my peers. I will acknowledge my role as an ambassador of science to the public and strive to be honest, respectful, and unbiased with engaging the public. I will value my work and its contribution to the scientific community. I will never let the potential for personal recognition or advancement cause me to act in a way that violates the public trust in science or in me as a scientist. I will foster a community that is inclusive of all and recognize that diversity cultivates innovation, creativity, and progress. I will acknowledge and honor the contributions of scientists who have preceded me and become a worthy role model deserving of respect by those who follow me. And I will always be cognizant that my work is for the advancement of knowledge and the benefit of all humanity. Okay, great. Congrats, everybody.
Thank you, Dana. Now you are a certified scientist. Very quickly, just 5 minutes after becoming a graduate student. So This is the end of the formal part of the ceremony. Do you want to make some? Okay. Yeah, I know. And so what we will do next is all the first-year students will walk out of this hall and go to your right, and there are staircases where we're going to take a photo of all the incoming class here. The rest of the people can stay here, and they can get the party started. By the time students come in, they can get, what they would like on the left or the right. But before we do that, let's thank all the program directors, all the speakers, all the students for their contributions. Thank you so much. So outside and to the right, please.